Abide forever, infinite, a genius Einsteinian, freestyle. In real life, I assure you, there is no such thing as algebra. Reach me down, my tight Joe Bray. I would know him when we meet, when I share my later science, sitting humbly at his feet. He may know the law of all things, yet by ignorant of how we are working to completion, working on from then to now. Pray remember that I leave you all my theory complete, lacking only certain data for your adding as is me. And remember, men will scorn 'tis originally and true, and the obloquy of newness may fall bitterly on you. But my pupil, you have learned the worth of scorn. You have laughed with me at pity. We have a joy to be forlorn. What for us are all distractions of men's fellowship and smiles. What for us, the goddess of pleasure with her meretricous smiles. You may tell that German college that their honor comes too late, but they must not waste repentance on the grisly savage fate. Though my soul may set in darkness, it will rise in perfect light. I have left the stars too finely to be fearful of the night. What, my boy, you are not weeping. You should save your eyes for sight. You will need them, mine observer, yet for many another night. I leave none but you, my pupil, unto whom my plans are known. You have none but me, you murmur, and I leave you quite alone. And then kiss me, since my mother left her blessing on my brow. There are been to something wanting to my nature until now, pal. I can dimly comprehend that I might have been more kind, might have cherished you more wisely as what I left behind. Rhymes I have never failed in kindness. Now we lived too high for strife. Calmness, coldness was the air which has crept into our life. But your spirit is untainted. I can't dedicate you still to the service of our science. You will fervor it. You will. There are certain calculations I should like to make with you to be sure that your deductions will be logical and true. Remember, patience. Patience is the watchword of a sage. Not today, nor yet tomorrow can complete a perfect age. I have shown you, like tight Joe Bray, that a greater man may reap, but if none should do my reaping, twill disturb me in my sleep. So be careful and be faithful. Though like me, you leave no name. See, my boy, that nothing turn you to the mere pursuit of fame. I must say goodbye, my people, for I can no longer speak. I draw the curtain back for Venus ere my vision grows too weak. It is strange. The peerly planet should look red as fiery Mars. God will mercifully guide me on my way amongst the stars. Mathematics expresses values that reflect the cosmos, including orderliness, a balance, harmony, logic, and abstract beauty. The difference between the poet and the mathematician is that the poet tries to get his head into the heavens, while the mathematician tries to get the heavens into his head. I had a polynomial once my doctor removed it. I'm sorry to say that the subject I most disliked was mathematics. I have thought about it. I think the reason was that mathematics leaves no room for argument. If you made a mistake, that was all there was to it. The first feeling was that there was no way to continue writing, spitting, spatting. Isn't like math and math. 2 plus 2 always equal 4, no matter what your mood is like with spitting, rapping, writing. The way you feel changes everything. Mathematics, rightly viewed, possesses not only truth but supreme beauty, a beauty cold and austere, like that of sculpture, without appeal to any part of our weaker nature, without the gorgeous trappings of painting or music, yet sublimely pure and capable of a stern perfection such as only the greatest art can show. Imagination is more important than knowledge. With infinite knowledge of imagination, the possibilities are endlessly spit into thee. all night and all day. Away goes today, spent all night and all day. True, your television to any channel it doesn't receive, and about 1% of dance and static you see is accounted for by this ancient remnant of the Big Bang. But next time you complain that there's nothing on, remember that you can always watch the birth of the universe. People cite a violation of the First Amendment when a New Jersey school teacher asserted that evolution and the Big Bang are not scientific and that Noah's Ark carried dinosaurs. This case is not about the need to separate church and state. It's about the need to separate ignorant, scientifically illiterate people from the ranks of teachers. The role played by time at the beginning of the universe, I believe, the final key to removing the need for a grand designer and revealing how the universe created itself. Time itself must come to a stop. You can't get to a time before the Big Bang because there was no time before the Big Bang. We have finally found something that does not have a cause because there was no time. No time for a cause to exist. And for me, this means there is no possibility of a creator because there is no time for a creator to have existed since time itself began at the moment of the Big Bang. It was an event that could not have been caused or created by anyone or anything. So when people ask me if God created the universe, I tell them the question itself makes no sense. Time didn't exist before the Big Bang. Away. So there is no time for God to make the universe, and it's like asking for directions to the edge of the universe. The earth is a sphere. It does not have an edge, and so looking for it is a futile exercise. There is no indisputable proof for the Big Bang, said Hollis, and there is none for evolution, and yet you accept those. Why will hold the question of whether there is a creator or to a higher standard. If the fate of the universe was decided in a single moment at the instant of the Big Bang, that was the most creative moment of them all. Rap a bubble it up. Not I fill you up. There's a spitting but bubble it up. There I go spitting never ending, I said. The raps never ending inside of my head. Spitting and rhyming again and again inside my head. If in the statistical jargon used in psychology, P refers to the probability that the difference you see between two groups of introverts and extroverts, say of males or males and females, could have occurred by chance. As a general rule, psychologists report a difference between two groups as significant as the probability that it could have occurred by chance is 1 in 20 or less. The possibility of getting significant results by chance is a problem in an area of research that's particularly acute for sex differences research. Suppose, for example, you're a neuroscientist and interested in what parts of the brain are involved in mind reading. I get 15 participants into a scanner and ask them to guess the emotion of people in photographs. Since you have both males and females in your group, you run a quick check to ensure that the two groups' brains respond in the same way that they do. And what do you do next? Most likely you publish your results without mentioning gender at all in your report, except to note the number of male and female participants. What you don't do is publish your findings with the title, No Sex Differences in Neural Circuitry Involved in Understanding Others' Minds. This is perfectly reasonable after all, and you weren't looking for gender difference, and there weren't only small numbers of each sex in your study. But remember that even if males and females overall respond the same way on a task, 5% of studies investigating this question will throw up a significant difference between the sexes by chance. As Hines has explained, sex is easily assessed, routinely evaluated, and not always reported because it is more interesting to find a difference between than to find no difference, and 19 failures to observe a difference between men and women go unreported, whereas the 1 in 20 finding of a difference is likely to be published. This contributes to the so-called file drawer phenomenon, whereby studies that do find sex differences get published, but those that don't languish unpublished and unseen in a researcher's file drawer. Which do you think is more valuable to humanity, of finding ways to tell humans that they have free will despite the incontrovertible fact that their actions completely dictated by the laws of physics as instantiated in our bodies, brains, and environments that is engaging in the honored philosophical practice of showing that our notion of free will can be compatible with determinism, telling people based on our scientific knowledge of physics, neurology, and behavior that our actions are predetermined rather than dictated by some ghost in our brains, and then sussing out the consequences of that conclusion, applying them to society. Rap monopoly. There you go, sloppity floppity. There's a spit into the nice spitting rap man forever rapping, and a technological and intellectual rap. A truth can be only be found in one place, the code. Indeed, the ratio of time spent reading versus writing is well over 10 to 1. We are constantly reading old code as part to the effort to write new code, making it easy to find, read, makes it easier to write. To the bearing of a child takes 9 months, no matter how many women are assigned. If it hurts, do it more frequently and bring the pain forward. You must excuse my gruff conduct, the watchdog said after they'd been driving for some time. But you see, it's traditional for watchdogs to be ferocious. The conclusion is simple. If a 200-man project has 25 managers who are the most competent and experienced programmers, fire about 175 troops and put the managers back to programming. Heuristic is an algorithm in a clown suit. It's less predictable. It's more fun. It comes without a 30-day money-back guarantee. A Diablo space-time is that code abstract. Rap. Never stop spitting. I take a nap and I'm snoring, dreaming of rap. I never spit rhyme on time. Until the end of time, I spit the rhymes. It doesn't take a huge amount of knowledge and skill to set program working. Kids in high school do it all the time. Getting it right is another matter entirely. When software is done right, it requires a fraction of the human resources to create and maintain. The essence of authentication is being able to approve the assertion you are making. There's a spitting, rapping, and there's a spitting again. Inside of my head, the raps begin echoing out the mind, echoing off on my rhyme, echoing inside my mind. Meaning the two personalities, like the contact of two chemical substances, is if there is any reaction, both are transformed. Let me tell you, you either have chemistry or you don't, and you better have it, or it's like kissing some relative. But chemistry, listen to me, you got to be careful. Chemistry is like those perfume ads, the ones that look so interesting and mysterious, but you don't even know at first what they're even selling, are those menus who, without the prices, mystery, and intrigue, are going to cost you great look and might mean something very expensive. And I don't mean money. What I'm saying is chemistry is a place to start, not an endpoint. Not an endpoint. A woman or a man of value doesn't love you because of what he or she wants you to be or do for them. He or she loves you because your combined souls understand one another, complements each other, and make sense above any other person in this world. Yet each share a part of their souls, mirror and see each other's light reflected in it clearly. You can easily speak from the heart and feel safe doing so. Both of you have been traveling a parallel road for your entire life without each other's presence. You feel like an old friend or family member was lost. Bothers you not because you have given it too much meaning, but because God did. This is the type of person you don't have to fight for, because you can't get rid of them and your heart doesn't want them to leave. A sophisticated vocabulary using adequate communication, psychological competence, this validating library, I'm saying completely adamant, randomly, consciously, accurately, incoherently, random shows of anti-disceptarianism, calibration, validation, infinitism, and rhymatism. Since the mathematicians have invaded the theory of relativity, I do not understand it myself anymore. I think that modern physics has definitely decided in favor of plateau. In fact, the smallest units of matter are not physical objects in the ordinary sense. They are forms, ideas, which can be expressed unambiguously only in mathematical language. Mathematics is the cheapest science, unlike physics and chemistry. It does not require any expensive equipment. All it needs for mathematics is a pencil and paper. With me, everything turns into mathematics, logic, and the art of thinking and reason in strict accordance with the limitations and capacities of the human misunderstanding. The basic of logic is a syllogism and consisting of a major and a minor premise and a conclusion. Thus, a major premise of 60 men can do, a piece of work 60 times as quickly as one man. A minor premise. One man can dig a post hole in 60 seconds. Therefore, conclusion: 60 men can dig a post hole in 1 second. This may be called a syllogism, arithmetical, in which by combining logic and mathematics we obtain a double certainty and are twice blessed. Rhymes and a mess. I've never stopped spitting again and again. It goes inside of my head. Raps in a mess. Hence up the meth. Spitting their ending. I said it is wrong to use statements such as there is no south of the South Pole as proof that there is nothing beyond the point when time stops. Such statements may sound seductive, but they are not scientific, nor do they prove that what they try to prove. It is wrong to apply the laws and states of our universe to the state before the Big Bang if we do not have the slightest idea about the context and the state before the Big Bang. The lack of time and space in our sense of these concepts does not mean that nothing exists beyond the space-time continuum to state. There is no need for a creator or God. If there is no time, it is meaningless because the absolute is beyond time and space. As we know then, absolute is the source of time and space, and therefore does not need time to create or recreate itself fruitful world. Such statements are not scientific. They are presuppositions and intellectual constructs that serve as fillers for a lack of accurate understanding or a fundamental theory explaining how reality, which is almost incomprehensible to the human mind, functions. Rapping their ending, but never stop spitting rhymes all day and all night. They go inside of my mind, echoing infinite rhymes until the end of time to time. There it goes inside of my mind. The amazing flexibility of our minds seems nearly irreconcilable with the notion that our brains must be made out of a fixed rule hardware which cannot be reprogrammed. We cannot make our neurons fire faster or slower. We cannot rewire our brains. We cannot redesign. The interior of a neuron. We cannot make choices about the hardware, and yet we can't control how we think. The nervous system dictates what that soul attracts into her life. If your neurons are destroyed, you won't know where you are, what you want, or where you want to go. I don't make baseless claims like I'll remove all your fears, I'll remove all your anxieties, I'll remove all your insecurities. I am a scientist, not an influencer, which means I am duty bound to adhere to the truth, no matter how inconvenient they are. Instead of peddling comforting lies for exposure. And the truth is, if bombarding people with some fancy facts about the mind, remove their worries. Every household with a DSM diagnostic and statistical manual of mental disorders would be the happiest place on earth. Haven't you heard? Where it goes inside of my head. Never ending speaking and spitting and rhyming again inside of my head. The echoes in my head again, echoing and speaking scientific rhyming again. In the mid-1990s, a new employee of Sun Microsystems in California kept disappearing from their database every time his details were entered. The system seemed to eat him whole. He would disappear without a trace. No one in HR could work out why poor Steve Knoll was database kryptonite. The staff in HR were entering a surname as Knoll, but they were blissfully unaware that in a database, Knoll represents a lack of data. So Steve became a non-entry to computers. His name was Steve Zero, for Steve Mick does not exist. Apparently it took a while to work out what was going on, as HR would happily renter his details each time the issue was raised, never stopping to consider why the database was routinely removing him. If you see me, make sure you don't say do it in a professional software engineering environment. Criticism is almost never personal. It's usually just a part of the process of making a better project. The trick is to make sure you and those around you understand the difference between a constructive criticism of someone's creative output and a flat-out assault against someone's character. The latter is useless, petty, and merely impossible to act on. The former can and should be helpful and give guidance on how to improve, and most important, is imbued with respect. A person given a constructive criticism genuinely cares about the other person, and wants them to improve themselves or their work. Learn to respect your peers and give constructive criticism politely. If you truly respect someone, you will be motivated to choose a tactful, helpful phrase, and a skill acquired with practice, much practice. I'm gonna end a spit this razzle dazzle, a purple snapple, down with the devil. There's a razzle dazzle, it says my nizzle. I get so breathless when you call my name. I've often wondered, do you feel the same? There's a chemistry, energy, a synchronicity where when we're all alone, I won't let you go back to that boy, and not until you give me a one be docs, a sweet kiss. Then he reached forward, unlacing the ribbon from her hair. What are you doing? I murmured. Souvenir. He put it in his pocket, and for some reason that struck me as the sexiest thing I ever seen. A chicken fizz. Oh Lord, protect all of us who toil in the vineyards of experimental chemistry. Our eyes met, and our souls caught on fire. On the stage, Tristan bent over the piano, his fingers swift and sure, his blonde hair gleaming under the spotlight. I glanced around at the audience, watching their faces, gratified that they were as captivated. So I was, as I was, by the dark, thunderous sound of the Tristan conjured. Is it possible that the pentateuch could not have been written by uninspired men, that the assistance of God was necessary to produce these books? It is possible that Galilei asserted the mechanical principles of virtual velocity, the laws of fallen bodies, and all motion. Copernicus ascertained the true position of the earth and accounted for all celestial phenomena. The Kepler discovered the three laws of discoveries of such importance that the 8th of May of 1618 may be called the birthday of modern science. And Newton gave to the world the method of fluxions, the theory of a universal gravitation, and the decomposition of light. That Euclid, Cavalieri, Descartes, and Leibniz almost compelled the science of mathematics. That all the discoveries in objects, optics, hydrostatics, phenomatics, and chemistry, the experiments, discoveries, and inventions of Galvani, Volta, Franklin, and Morse, and all the pioneers of progress, that all this was accomplished by uninspired men. Rapper, I would get to Jason Voorhees' eyes, rhyme, all day and all night. There you go, spitting all night. Echoing infinite scientific rhymes of physics, rapper forever, such rapping never. There you go, spitter, a spatter. Truth about resilience is that it's learned behavior. If you gravitate toward hopelessness, it's not because you're hopeless, but because your brain has done it so many times before. If your mind naturally goes to despair, it's not because your situation is dire, but because you have developed strong neural pathways for despair. There's nothing free about your will. All is conditioned to be the hilt. If you are to foster any original will, perception is not observation. Perception is prediction. The brain doesn't care about observing. It only puts forward a self-serving illusion. Your will is but puppet to that illusion, which means you are but a puppet to the evolution. You do have the brain power to take control, but it'll take a lot of inconvenient self-correction. If you can do that, you shall rise as sapiens, or you will just end up as a compost in nature's garden. The absence of sensation can be devastating, but an absence of pain, the loudest of our sensations, sounds like a blessing, not a curse. Pain screams its way into our consciousness, blotting out everything else. The bind and sear of stubbing one's toe, cracking one's head, or cutting your finger, elbows, or all other sensations and senses out of the way, demanding immediate attention and action. Rapping never ending, ready to go spitting notes into my thumb. Well, there I go, never ending, don't you know? For me, it is better to grasp the universe as it really is than to persist in delusion. However satisfying and reassuring, recognize that the very molecules that make up your body, the atoms that construct the molecules, are traceable to crucibles that were once the centers of high mass stars that exploded their chemically rich guts into the galaxy. enriching pristine gas clouds with the chemistry of life, so that we are all connected to each other biologically, to the earth chemically, and to the rest of the universe atomically. That's kind of cool. That makes me smile, and I actually feel quite large at the end of that. It's not that we are better than the universe. We are part of the universe. We are in the universe, and the universe is in us. How it is that hardly any major religion has looked at science and concluded that this is better than we thought. The universe is much bigger than our prophet said gender, more subtle, more elegant. Instead, they say, no, my God is a little God, and I want him to stay that way. A religion old or new that stressed the magnificence of the universe as revealed by modern science might be able to draw forth reserves of reverence and awe hardly tapped by the conventional faiths. Oh, wait. They go inside of my mind, the echo and infinite rhymes. Sophisticated vocabulary using adequate education, psychological and commerce, speciality, and library on saying, include element, name is conscious, accurate, and clearly running in children's with the interdisciplinarity of Calfree's Docentism, busyness, frequently prioritize new feature releases over fixing technical debt. They choose to work on revenue, regenerating work instead of revenue, protection work for rarely works out as the busyness hopes, particularly as problems discovered during the final stages of uncompleted projects drag engineers away from the newer projects. Software is easy to make except when you want it to do something new. And then, of course, there is a corollary, and that the only software that's worth making is software that does something new. Inside every large program is a small program struggling to get out. Engineering is a profession that can do the job of almost all other professions. In the context of a software engineer refers to the degree of coupling between software components. Software components are cognizant of change in the world required by others to be modified in order to maintain the overall correctness of the system. Wrapping our ending, spitting. Here I go inside of my head. Demons begin tonight, spitting the echoing infinite scientific rhymes. I'm like forever, a scientist, infinitist, psychologist, wrapping our ending. Infinite is a meaningless word, except it states the mind is capable of performing an endless process of addition. Geometry has two great treasures. One is the theorem of Pythagoras, the other, the division of a line into extreme and mean ratio. The first we may compare to a measure of gold. The second we may name a precious jewel. Women have a passion for mathematics. They divide their age in half, double the price of their clothes, and always add up at least 5 years to the age of their best friend. Perhaps end. The important thing to remember about mathematics is not to be frightened. If one is working from the point of view of getting beauty into one's equation, one is on a sure line of progress. People enjoy invested slogans which violate basic arithmetic, but which illustrate deeper truths such as 1 and 1 make 1, or 1 plus 1 and 1 equals 1. Can easily spit rapidly, never endingly spitting for all of eternity. There you go, spitting inside of my head. The demons begin echoing again, I said. They're so spitting again, I said. Echoing infinite rhymes inside of my mind. In a very real sense, we have two minds, one that thinks and one that feels. And are we biology or God or something higher? I know my heart beats, and I would listen to it beat as biology. But what is the song? Where are these boys in their right minds? Here were two boys with good intellect, and one 18 and one 19. They had all the prospects that life could hold. And out for any of the young, one for a graduate of Chicago and another of Ann Arbor, one who has passed his examination for the Harvard Law School and was about to take a trip to Europe. Another who has passed at Ann Arbor, the youngest in the class, with $3,000 in the bank. Boys who never knew what it was to want a dollar forever. Some of them only to one of those shows been in the mirror, sort of institute of similar demonstration. I'm going to motivate my elevator music. Follows whole bottle of alcohol, scientific syllable killer, spiller, spitter, forever. There's spin rapper. never end. My mind, entire my heart, my soul, full of force, rare. I have a sophisticated vocabulary and use my adequate documented education, my psychological unconscious, this validating and elaborate, I'm saying completely adamant, my enemies consciously, accurately, and coherently. I mean, it shows something antithesis, substitutarianism, the caliphate, theodosianism, antithesis, rhymatism, never endalism. My mind, entire my heart, soul, full of full spark, intellectually. Infinity is the infinite me, twixt the cognizant knowledge of beat, brother rim rhymes, juggle, rhymes till the end of time. A cognizant knowledge of beat, brother rim rhymes, extraterrestrial, delightfully, extraordinarily, never endingly spitting for all of eternity. Sophisticated vocabulary, man, documented, education, psychological consciousness, valley, what I'm about to say, completely adamant. Name is consciously, accurately, and coherent. I mean, assurance of subject, substitutarianism, supercalifragilistic, infinitism, rhymatism, ferocious science, syllabalism, biblical, undoubtable hypnotism.